Aniket, we'll start by 6:3. We'll wait for 2 more minutes.
Yeah.
Um, Aniket, can we start? Uh, Aniket,
Yeah,
can we
yeah.
start?
I
Yeah,
can.
okay, okay. Can you present? Uh, Okay, okay. So, hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar. So, today's webinar topic is Mastering Data Science Techniques Every Professional Should Learn. So before going into the webinar, I will quickly introduce today's speaker. So today's speaker is Mr. Ankit Chabra. So he's currently the director of AI in Mon AI, and with over 13 years of experience in AI and ML, he has a deep understanding of Gen AI products, and also he brings a wealth of expertise in building intelligent and data-driven solutions. His journey spans industry giants like PayPal, Fidelity, GE Capital, and ASAP. Anikit's skill set encompasses predictive modeling, machine learning, and deep learning algorithms. He holds an MA in economics from the prestigious Delhi School of Economics, and also he is one of our alumni of this PG Data Science program. So before handing over to the speaker, I would like to give few instructions about this webinar. So this is a listen-only webinar. So all the queries you can put it in the Q&A section, which is available below, or else you can also add it in the chat section. Thank you. Over to you, Aniket.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Vikas. Hey, everyone. Good evening. And thank you for taking out time on a weekday joining the session. Um, thank you, Vikas, for introducing the topic as well. So, today's topic is actually about one second. Sorry. Yeah. Actually about like how we can master the data science skills, right? What exactly is the requirement of the industry if we see from today's job perspective, the market, right? So market outlook. What are the skills required to become a data scientist? What do these data scientists do? At a high level, we'll talk about, but like how great learning can actually help you to become a data scientist. That's also the part that we'll cover. So this section is divided into, or this overall talk is divided into three parts. The first is we'll talk about like what exactly a data science project is about, like what do data scientists do in a project. Then we'll move to the skills that are required to become a data scientist, right? That will be the the first part. The second part will be that how the market looks like currently in terms of job market. There are lots of doubts, confusions people have regarding the job market. So we'll answer that in part two. And then part three will be how great learning can help you, especially the course PGP DSBA program, how that can help you to become a data scientist. Like what exactly the path that you have to follow, right, to become a data scientist. How can you follow that path? So that will be the third section of this talk. So as Vikas already instructed that this will be a webinar mode, so I would encourage, but as many questions as you can ask in the chat, there is a Q&A box, there is a chat box. You can always post your questions there. Happy to answer any questions regarding all the three topics or three parts that we are going to discuss. And hopefully there'll be a few good, key takeaways from my side, from today's talk. Um, okay. So with that, let's move to the part one of today's talk. So here you can see we are talking about like data science process flow. So just before I get into the process flow, right? So data science, what is data science? As the name suggests, right? You're actually applying some algorithms on the data, right? Those algorithms you learn, right? In your, let's say, academics, or let's say in this course like PGP DSP program, right? And then in your work practice as well, the day-to-day problems you solve. Your main role is of a data scientist solve problem using some algorithm. Those algorithms are scientific algorithms like machine learning algorithms, statistical analysis, data like business analysis, right? You perform certain type of data, business, statistical analysis on the data, right? And generate insights. So if you include all the algorithms that you use there, basically it's like a data science profile, right? So you apply those algorithms to get the insights. What is the point? Why we are applying those algorithms? Because those algorithms give us the insights, the outcome of those algorithms on the data that we applied to will give us some insights about the data. That insights is the outcome of our analysis we share with the business, and then business takes certain actions. For example, let's take an example of a fraud detection. Let's say there is a bank who is processing credit card, loan approval. For example, people take loan on credit card, right? So credit card loans, credit card payments, etc. To make the payments, etc. So what do you so let's say the business is now coming to you and ask you, okay, can you build a model to tell me that if I offer the loan to this person, will the person do the fraud or not, which means will the person do the default or not, let's say for example on the payment, right? So you are sorry, it's loan default, not the fraud is different and default is different, but let's say default detection, basically meaning that will the person do default or not, and if they do default, is it like fraudulent activity or non-fraudulent activity? That's why it's a fraud detection. So then what happens is that what you will do here, you will take all the data, right, of these individuals who are being offered the loan on credit card, and look at the history of those individuals, their payment history, their demographic data, their credit bureau data. That will be your input, right? Let's say you choose an algorithm. That algorithm is logistic regression classification algorithm, which will classify whether somebody will do a default on a payment or not. You'll take those input, the data that I talked about, use the logistic regression as an algorithm, and then predict each individual's probability to pay, or yeah, vice versa, the probability to default. If the probability of a person to default is high, which means that the person will not be able to make the repayment on time. There is a risk if bank provides the loan to the person, that person might default. There is a high chance. The higher the probability, the more the chances are there. So in that scenario, that will be the outcome, that will be the insight that from your side you will recommend to the business that okay, you should not give the loan to this person, and you should give loan to the person who has a low probability of default, right? So here what you did, you applied the algorithm, the scientific algorithm that I talked about on the data. What data? Historical data, demographic data, bureau data that you compiled, and then applied that algorithm and predicted the outcome. That is your now recommend the outcome is your recommendation that you share with the business. Now business has to take action whether to give the loan or not, right? So that's what a data science is all about. So everyday data scientists solve this problem, solve business problem using data, using algorithms, and that's what it's explained here as well. So then what do they do if we double down on the process that they follow, right? So first they look at the data, like how the data looks like. So they analyze the problem statement, go deeper into the data, looks the data is clean or not. If the data is not clean, they do perform the exploratory data analysis, which means that they do EDA, check insights high level on the data, like how the data looks like, right? Format cleaning, exploration charts, some visualization on the data, very basic insights from the data if we have to perform. Then, after doing the pre-processing plus EDA, start building the model, the logistic regression example that I gave, right? Fraud detection or the payment default example that I gave. That is your model building part. So every time data scientist has to train a model. Model building is also called model training. So you train the model there, right? And check the performance of the model, whether the model was good or bad, etc., etc. Right? If the model is not good, you retrain the model, do some pre-processing again, take more data, analyze model more deeply, etc. So basically, what do I mean by that is that is how you check the performance of the model. And after performance, after completing that model training, you check the model validation. If the model performs well, then all the model assumptions are checked, and then model goes for the deployment. And that once the model, like whichever model that you're planning to deploy, go in production, that will be your final model. Okay, so that is what a data science process flow is. So I gave you a business example, and how a data scientist implements that also I talked about. Any question on this slide? Happy to answer. Please post your question in the chat or Q&A. Right? Now let's talk about, like, again, we've talked about very high level. The idea was not to go deeper because that will be something that will be covered in the course right now. So right now the objective is only to get you introduced about like what exactly data science is, how the process works, so on and so forth. Now the question is then, okay, how can you become a data scientist, right? What are the skills required to become a data scientist? That's an important point. So I would say that there are three types of skills that are required to become a data scientist, right? So one is the basics of maths and statistics. So again, I would say 10th level of maths, right? If you have to ask me specifically, like up to 10th, if you learn the basic maths and stats. Now stats is not there in 10th, stat is there in 11th and 12th. So basic statistics of 12th up to 12th, and then basic maths of 10th, it should be enough for you to give you a start in the data science. Of course, like as you go into research, then you need to learn more concepts and all. But ideally, the point I'm trying to drive here is that you don't need to become a mathematician or statistician to become a data scientist. A basic level of mathematical knowledge and statistical knowledge should be good enough. That is the maths knowledge. The second knowledge or second level skill set is technical skills or technology skills. Now, what are the technical skills? There are two categories of technical skills. One is the tools that you need to learn to become a data scientist. I would say two tools are very important. One, the language called Python. It's a programming language. We need to be good at Python. The second is SQL, structured query language, to handle the databases, the database management. That is your second skill or second tool. The third, I would say, is Tableau. Now, again, Tableau is something that for use for data visualization. The EDA part that we talked about is actually done using Tableau, or can be done using Tableau, right? So these three tools are very critical. And plus we have like Excel, PowerPoints, slides that we work on, all are always there. Those are default skills. But these three, like Python, SQL, and Tableau, are three important tools that you need to learn to become a data scientist. The third, and after the tool, the other category of technical skills are the algorithms that I talked about, like logistic regression that I talked about. So machine learning algorithms are required to be learned to become a data scientist. Like, the regression, the classification, starting from logistic regression, linear regression, decision tree, random forest. I don't know whether you have heard these terms or not, but if you have not, don't worry. You will learn all this from basic, once you join the course. But that is something that is needed. So technology skills or technical skills, two parts: tools as well as the algorithms, basic mathematical and statistical knowledge. And plus, now as you become experienced, right, or if you're coming from an experienced background, right, somewhat business acumen, business domain knowledge is expected. Like, say for example, you're coming from marketing background. Now in the marketing background, um, 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 you need to have some knowledge of marketing, for example, right? Because how will you apply data science there? Now, this is not applicable to people who are freshers. right? Because freshers don't have business acumen or business domain knowledge. They learn it as they start working in their particular domain. So this is only applicable to people who are experienced professionals who are looking for senior roles, right? But if you have that, that's very good. It'll help you in your career ladder. So these three skills are very important for you to become a data scientist, right? That's the skill side. Now on the right hand side, what is given? Uh, I briefly talked about that, but if you see that, but if you see that, like for example here, right? So data scientists, you can see that like where does these, where does this profile, fit into this overall business angle, right? So basically, you are a person who works with business, right? Solve the problem using data. That's your goal. That's your role that you play with. Okay. And with that, you need the skills that we talked about, the analytical skills, the business skills, the technology skills. So somewhere you sit in the middle who is working very closely with business, somewhat is like engineering as well, solve problems with data. That is what a data science skills required. After acquiring those skills, right? Let's say you become a data scientist. What are the roles available? Or let's say you start your journey with the data science, right? What kind of roles are available to you? Right? So now, what are the skills available? So there are, what are the roles and responsibilities available based on the skills that we learn? So the first role that you see here called data engineer. Now this is not applicable, or this is not that you will be eligible for after doing this course. I mean, this is a core engineering profile which you for which you have to have data like BTech degree. You have to have an engineering background, right? With that, and then you can directly join the data engineering domain. But basically, what do these data engineers do in an organization is they are responsible for database management system, the DBMS that we see, where the overall organization's data sits, right? So it could be the ETLs, the APIs of the data, right? So the data quality, security, etc. So everything related to data management or database management is something that is the responsibility of data engineers, right? So this course doesn't talk about the data engineering profile, but that is also why that profile is being covered here is because that is related to data. That is why we are talking about here, so that you also know that. Although the data scientist and data analyst both work together with the data engineering team, because all the data in the organization is processed, shared by the data engineers. That is the team that is responsible to build overall data infrastructure for the company. The other two roles are, which are like relevant for you guys, is the data scientist role and data analyst role. Data slash business analyst are the same profile. It's just that some companies name the profile as business analyst. Some companies or organizations name the profile as data analyst. Both are the same. Um, but then there is a difference between data scientist and data analyst, and the difference is slightly, I mean, it might vary with organization to organization, but to tell you the high level differences, data scientist is the person who is responsible to use the ML algorithm, the machine learning algorithms in any problem. So their responsibility is to build these predictive models that I gave the example earlier. Versus data slash business analyst, they work more closely to the business. They don't work on a regular basis on modeling. They might use, these modeling techniques. They might build models as well, right? But that's not their core role. They primarily work with the business problem, the data analysis part. So they use the tools like Tableau, Excel, Power BI, Python a lot, but they don't use these tools for model building. Like machine learning algorithms, they don't build, they don't use. They do data analysis based on the customer requirement. Like for example, simple data slicing, dicing, customer segmentation, any analysis, post measure, like some experimentation, A/B test experimentation, etc., is done by these people. Versus data scientists are, they use the tool like Python core that's heavy. They go like heavily on Python, but primarily their goal is to build models. So they build these logistic regression models like that I talked about, classification models, decision tree, neural networks, etc. They use these kind of skills or models. So their core role is model development, model building, model training, right? Data analyst's primary responsibility is not to build the models. Okay, that's the difference between the data analyst and data scientist. So who can go to data science profile and who can go to the the data analyst profile is people who are again data analyst is slightly less technical role, although you need to learn the business skills, the basic mathematical skills, basic statistical skills, right? You need to know Python, you need to know Excel, you need to know Tableau, right? But you might not be like needing, right, the machine learning algorithms. Um, um, right? It's okay to not to have the machine learning models built in your profile. That's fine. But for data scientist, that is a must, right? So then people who are less technical want to start with their journey in analytics and data science. They can start with data analyst and later they can move to data science profile if they are interested. People who come from more technical background, they're good in Python programming. They learn machine learning algorithms. They understand machine learning algorithms very well. After studying, they can go to data science profile. And the good part is the course that we are going to talk about, right? Towards in the third part is actually going to help you to become eligible in both the roles. Now, then you can choose which one you prefer, right? Like, are you more inclined towards data scientist or you inclined towards data analyst? That is up to you. That is your choice. But basically, the point is you become eligible. The good part of this course is you become eligible in both the profiles, right? Okay. Okay. So now let's talk about other, technology or the techniques that recently has become very popular, right? In the industry. The technique or the technology is called generative AI or Gen AI, right? So definitely, everybody here would have heard about this AI tools, everything related to AI or most of the things related to AI, not everything because it's very vast, right? So what is this and how that is different from the data science and data analytics, right? So um, so if I talk about like in general, right, how it is different first, let's understand that, and then we'll talk about who does it, like whose responsibility is to work on Gen AI technology. First of all, what exactly it is and how it is different from the data science and data analysis, right? So I was giving examples of, the fraud detection or let's say the payment default models, the data analysis, the tools that we need to do data analysis, so and so, right? So in the previous slides. So um, the problem was that you work on a data, right? In the data science and data analytics, you work on data. The data is given to you. You fit the data into an algorithm and then you train that algorithm, right? So or which you build the model, right? So in this case, technically it's more like an optimization problem that you're solving, right? So which means that you have a data, you apply an algorithm on the data and then generate insights for the business, right? Now here, like, you're going historically looking at the data. Historical data is fetched and then and you perform the analysis. Generative AI is slightly different. There you actually, so here the task is optimizing something, a mathematical relationship between input and output. There is an input, there's an output. You're optimizing the relationship between the input output. But then what is the Gen AI? Gen AI here is more like a generative AI algorithms, which means there are models, techniques like large language models or foundation models that work in the backend. What they do is they help you to generate tasks. For example, the task like maybe you want to write an email, right? And you want now AI to write an email for you. It can write it. Now, this is not an optimization problem. This is a problem where you're actually, asking a generative task where email will be generated by the AI algorithm, right? You want to talk to customer rep and customer rep is not available, but you're talking to an AI chatbot. So that is where like AI chatbot is generating the answer on the go based on your questions, what you're asking, right? So, and let's say if you're asking AI to write the code for you, so it'll write the codes, the Python codes for you. So here the AI is actually writing the codes for you or writing something, generating something based on your request, the questions that you're asking. That is what AI is doing, right? So that was like, uh, so that is generative AI. right? I hope you got the idea like how it is different from data science, data analysis, and Gen AI. The point is that now the question is who does it? Primarily, it is so far, right? It's actually very nascent in terms of development. No, I should not say nascent in terms of development, but basically meaning that it has many layers. One of the layer is that people who are working in the on these algorithms are researchers who build these models. They are not like they might be the background, they might be coming from the background of AI ML, right? But their primary primary responsibility has been on researching these algorithms, building these models, large language models. It's a actually a deeper competency who has worked on this, training these models. So one is the researchers. The second is the engineers, the AI engineers, which people who are responsible for building these AI applications. So you think about like Chat GPT, right? So who built Chat GPT? Chat GPT is a product. Behind the Chat GPT, there is an algorithm called GPT, like 4.0, 3.5, 4.1. All these are models. These models are trained, written by the researchers. And then Chat GPT as a product brought into production by the AI engineers, right? So that is the difference between Gen AI. So they are different from so the point I'm trying to drive here is they are different from the data scientist profile and they're different from data analyst profile, right? So the question is then who can go, right? Now let's say if you aspire to go, yes, you can aspire to be. For that, again, research degree is required in the sense that you need to have a research degree, as well as if you want to build something like in the AI training side, right? As well as engineering also, like engineering has to come from the engineering domain. But of course, we can become the people who can use these applications on day-to-day work. Like data scientists can use AI, Gen AI, to build fraud detection models as well, right? That can be used. So data scientists are actually the users of these AI, Gen AI applications, or will become the users of these AI applications. Okay, so that is what Gen AI is. So I think I can skip this slide because this is something not required. But I'll tell you the main, like the point I'm trying to say is like, why do you need to? Then the question is that, okay, if you, let's say, want to learn like how to use Gen AI in your day-to-day workflow, right? Day-to-day work that you do. For example, data science profile that we talked about. Can Gen AI be used here? The answer is yes. And for that, you need to learn Gen AI. And that is why this course, the PGP DSP program, is updated with a module on Gen AI, which means that you will be taught like how to use Chat GPT for your analysis, how to use AI for coding, write codes, etc. That will be taught to you in this course. Okay, that is why it's important for data scientists to learn, you know, Gen AI in your day-to-day, like in their day-to-day workflow, especially how to use them. They don't need to actually train these models from scratch, but how to use that in the workflow of them. It's something very important that they need to learn. Okay. So that is what Gen AI is about. Again, high level. The idea was to give you a high level, overview, not to go into details. But if you have any questions, I can always answer. You can share your questions in the chat. So that is about the part one. So just to recap, right? Quick recap on what did we learn in part one. So we talked about like data science as profile. What exactly data science is? What is a data science profile? What people do in data science? How does the process work? Then what are the skills required to become a data scientist? That's another one. And then what is Gen AI, right? And then how Gen AI should be used by data scientists in their day-to-day workflow, right? That is something we talked about, right? Now let's move to part two quickly. How the market looks like, right? Data science market trends. Um, So in terms of the market, right, how the data science market looks like. So job market, that's again very important point because then that is where like you will be applying, right, and getting jobs in future, so and so. So the market um, of data science is it's actually growing, and I'm including the Gen AI market also because every data scientist will be required to learn Gen AI in future, right? That will be a must in your profile, maybe next 6 months to 1 year. You will see that, right? So people must know AI, like how to use AI. So then, you can see the domain how it's growing. You can see that number here, that between 2024 and 2030, there is a 26% growth, which means almost every year, right? We see that the number of jobs are increasing by 25%, 26% approximately. If there are 100 jobs today, next year there'll be 126 jobs, so on and so forth. That is the annual growth rate in the market of data science jobs. In India, you can see that in between the period of 2022 and 2030, there'll be 300% jump in terms of number of data scientists. Again, this will include Gen AI, which means that people should be using Gen AI in the workflow, right? And then globally, this number will reach by 1.15 crore in the same period. So that's how the job market is growing, right? And where you can fit in this job market. So again, of course, like there are many career paths. So again, high level, we already talked about that, but just to give you a gist of it. So people who are coming from technical background, engineering background, they can look for roles like ML engineers or AI engineers who use Gen AI, who use the applications, like build the applications using Gen AI. People who come from analysis, like data analytics or less technical background, they can become, analyst, data analyst, business analyst, reporting analyst, you can say statistician. People who come from who actually like the, as I said, Python, machine learning algorithms more, they can become data scientist, statistician, right? And the consultant as well. So these are the three categories of role where you can actually fit into. So first role is on the engineering side, like we can become an ML engineer or AI engineer, depends upon your profile, which is again engineering. Then you can also become a data scientist or statistician or researcher, right? Which people come from, like, a little bit of technical background with the business knowledge. And then third category is the analytics profile, which is the data analyst or business analyst or reporting analyst, manager of analytics, depends upon your experience. Where do you fit into? But that is what you can apply to. Okay, so these are the career paths. So, but you will also, get much more clarity once you join the course, start getting into this, like learning the stuff in the data science world. So you'll definitely get much more better idea of how this, data science, like what should be the path for you, what you should be choosing, etc. Okay. Okay. Let's now talk about like how exactly the career will be moving, right, of data science. So I mean, wh- I mean, this is not like applicable to everyone, but this is where people, fall generally. So 0 to 2 years, you are very new, you are junior data scientist, junior data analyst, you learn a lot of stuff. There are a lot of buddies and mentors to you who actually, teach you like what exactly you would be doing in a project, right? So you don't independently handle project, but there is a mentor to you who handles the project for you. Then you between 2 to 5 years, you slightly become, senior, but again, maybe not working in completely independently, but there are people who can help you to work on analysis on the data. You do the analysis, but the business problem is still handled by your managers or your buddies. 5 to 10 years, now you start taking the projects for customers like independently in terms of like, doing the understanding the business problem end to end, solving the problem, doing the analysis, so on and so forth. And then maybe some mid-level management also, like close to 10 years, fit into this category. 10 to 15 years plus is actually a leadership role where you become a director, let's say, or VP plus whatever, the role company defines, but your main role is to maybe handle more than one portfolio, like in terms of multiple portfolios, multiple, businesses, so on and so forth. Okay. So that is your career path that you follow, you know, in the industry. So this is the second part. What quickly, like, just to give you a quick recap, like what we talked about like, how the market looks like, the data science market looks like in terms of number of jobs in India across the globe, right? What will be the career path, like where you can fit into in terms of analytics, in terms of engineering, in terms of data science, and what are the skills required? Already we talked about that. Then in terms of like career trajectory, right? The ladder, how the career ladder works, right? Between 0 to 2 years, what role you play as a data scientist. between 2 to 5 years, what role you play, 10 to 15, sorry, 5 to 10 years, and 10 to 15 years plus, what will be your role, your responsibilities, right? So that's how you your grow the, that's how you grow in your career if you join in data science world, right? So, and now people who are like freshers, they can think about like where they will start, and people who come from experience background, right? So where they will fit in their career ladder. But of course, like if you are shifting the career, shifting the domain, so it might happen that you might not start with the same level of experience can be, can go lower or higher, depends upon your, your current, like, position, how close you are in terms of data science, etc., right? So that completely depends, but primarily, once you join that, this is how the career path follows. Okay. Okay, with that, let's move to now part three of your, of the agenda that we discussed, right? Now, how we talked about like what exactly data science is, what exactly Gen AI is, what are the skills required. We saw the market, scenario as well. We also saw the career path trajectory, right? Now, let's say how great learning can actually help you contribute, in your career path, movement towards data science, right? How it can help, what it has done for you in terms of designing the course. And once you join the course, what will be the outcome? What will be the takeaway, right, for you? So that is something that we are going to talk about now, part three, right? So great learning, of course, like everybody would be knowing because you guys have already registered, right? Shown interest. It's one of the top, business analytics course provider in the industry, right? So they are there in industry for more than I think 12 plus years, I would say, approximately. And you can see that with that, they have actually made successful like 18,000 plus career transitions from these courses that they've launched, right? There are more than 4,000 companies who have partnered in the last 12 years, right? To with and they have hired people from Great Learning. More than 400 million hours of content has been delivered to people from Great Learning. Like 7,600 plus mentors are there. Plus, like the certifications that you get, most of the certifications are dual certifications. Like, for example, in this particular certification that we're talking about is actually from Great Learning, also, and along with the University of Texas in Austin, right? So it's a dual diploma certificate that you get, which means the certificate is eligible in the US as well, right? So you get certification from Great Learning as well as University of Texas in Austin. But there are other universities like Northwest Universities as well, John Hopkins, Walsh College, all the other education platforms partner with Great Learning so far, right? And has been successfully delivering the courses to students. And the rating, you can see the rating online as well. 4.8 out of 5 is the rating that Great Learning is getting so far across the courses that they are there. Okay. So that was about great learning. What about the course now? Specific course that we're talking about. PGP Data Science is the program name. I have been an alumni of this course. I was a student of batch 2015-16, one of the oldest batch. I think it was second batch that they launched. So what is the content of that, is this course, and especially the updated content. You can see the first module, right? The chat GPT and generative AI. As I was saying, it'll be a must, have requirement in the data science profile. In fact, today it's also the must-have requirement that you should know how to use AI tools like ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity. How would you use them for your, of course, like personally you would be using it, but in your work, how can you use that, right? That is something that is needed, that you learn, that the cutting edge technology here in this course, right? So you learn that how to, ingest your current workflow in data science, Gen AI, extracting insights, complex business problem, how can you solve them? Along with that, there are AI and data analytics modules are there, which is the course that on the data science and AI, right? Machine learning and data analytics or data science. Modules are there, which I'll talk about detail in the coming slides. But that are there. Again, the modules include the skills, the tool level skills, the technology level skill, like what kind of algorithms you learn, what kind of tools you learn, right? That something is covered in the course thoroughly. It's a 12 months program, right? You can see on the right hand side the 22 plus tools that you learn. 11 plus hands-on project, and 60 plus case studies that you do. So this is not actually a typical like theoretical course that you're learning. It is actually a, you can think of as, take it as a workshop, right? You do a lot of hands-on here, only rather than just doing the theory and then and then application is left on to you. No, you actually learn much deeper in terms of like the case study solving every day, right? The sessions happen that giving you more hands-on raw experience. Again, as I was saying, it is a 12-month program, 11 months of learning and 1 month of capstone project. There are dedicated, live sessions as well as recorded sessions. Recorded sessions happen on weekdays. Like you can, it's designed for working professionals. Recorded videos are there. You can go through those videos whenever you have time in during the day. I mean, all the weekdays and weekends. The session happens with the industry mentors, like people like me who have experience in data science and machine learning. They come on the platform, teach you live courses. You are part of a batch. The batch is between 15 to 20 people. You learn with the batch as the online sessions that happen. And in that batch, basically in the session, you actually solve case studies, right? So right, and then then once you have a doubt, you can always ask questions, right? So the classes, of course, like very dedicated sessions, 15 to 20 people only. It's immersed, sessions. Peer-to-peer networking you build, right? Because you are there with other people who are also working. The mentor is also working somewhere, so basically build a network there and you're learning from your peers. That's a very good model that I've actually learned a lot from this model as well. What is the curriculum of the course? So, as I was saying, right, the learning is based on tool and technology both. So, in terms of tool, very quickly you learn Python. There is a dedicated module for Python. And this is designed in such a way that even if you are at day zero, which means that even if you don't have experience in the data science at all, like machine learning or let's say Python, you are coming from very non-technical background. Like I am a non-technical background. So I have not done BTech, I have done BA, right? So I learned Python, right? From scratch. So Python for data science, introduction to SQL. There's a Tableau as well, data visualization using Tableau, and there are other tools as well that you learn. Right? For Gen AI, there's a dedicated module in Gen AI. Statistical skills, there is a dedicated session on the stats, right? And then there are machine learning one, machine learning two, neural networks, deep learning, right? Unsupervised learning, natural language processing with Gen AI, all that you learn, which is basically algorithms. So you learn both the tools, the algorithms, the basic mathematical skills and statistical skills during the whole course. And that's how the course is designed. Even if you are a fresher in the, in terms of like industry or in terms of non-technical background, right? The course is still going to help you because this course is designed in such a way that you, assuming that you are starting from day zero. So if you're coming from programming background, it's good for you. You basically get a, refresher again, right? You can revise the concepts. But if you're coming from non-technical background, still it is helpful to you because it assumes that you're coming from non-technical background. So all the classes, the sessions happen from day zero. That is the value add for you guys, right? Then you have not only that, so that's on the theory part, like sessions part. You also learn things hands-on, pretty like so you solve case studies. There are capstone projects, there are hackathons, there are like proof of concepts that work that you do. So everything is designed in such a way that you do a lot of hands-on work, right? And that is very important because that is the takeaway primarily, right, from the course. And you can see that the tools and languages are there. Okay. So this is what is the part three where we talked about the curriculum of the course. So with that, I'll probably now take a pause and then invite questions from people. Right? I'll see the questions if they are there in the chat box or Q&A. Right? So that was like three parts, and I'll now go to Q&A first. Let's see if the questions are there. What questions are there? But if in any case, anyone has any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Feel free to ask as many questions as you can. There are no dumb questions, so don't worry. Any type of questions can be asked regarding your career, profession, etc. Okay, Janani is saying whether this session is certificate. No, for this session, the certificate is not provided, I guess. But for the course, yes.
Guys, please feel free to post your questions. There is a Q&A section below, or else you can post it in the chat also. Any doubts regarding the course or the fee structure or the curriculum or about the courses or other courses other than data science, you can fill this form so that we will get back with all the answers that you need. Aniket, there is one question in the chat.
Yeah, let me take that. Um, Yeah, so I think the question is valid here. Like for freshers, see, for data science, the openings are not less now. The openings are less for other profiles, especially like, where the automation can be done. So they are like companies are still figuring out for freshers, like data science still need. I mean, data scientists are still needed in the companies. So don't worry about the data science part, right? You will see that a lot of jobs are not there in the tech and other industrial, especially coding and other, the basic coding profiles. But for data science, as I said, they are more closely related to the business, right? So those profiles are something that are not like getting reduced. They are profile. You will see that in fact now people are needed who can use Gen AI in the data science profile, which I addressed in the Gen AI slide also, right? So there are people who are required to use Gen AI in their workflows in the industry, and that's where I think the industry is moving, right? So it's not for, first of all, it's not applicable to data science. Even if they are there, I think the profiles have more become more niche using more Gen AI technology, so that you're already learning in the course. Okay.
There is one question in the Q&A section.
Yeah, I'm taking that. um So I think I covered that in the slide, right, Saheli? The different job roles. So there are data analyst roles, right? Data scientist profile. Within data scientist, you have senior data scientist, junior data scientist, right? For data analyst, also data analyst, business analyst, consulting roles, manager analytics, business analytics, right? So I was covering that career paths, right? Career profiles. So you can decide like once. So the good part of this course is this course makes you eligible for both the profiles, right? So you can choose now. If you're more technical, want to go towards data science side, you can go. If you're less technical, want to closely work with business, or business or, I mean, the strategy profiles, you can go for analytics side as well. Manager analytics is actually the profile people who are senior professional, like 10 plus years of experience. They can go into manager analytics role. So there is a role that exists like analytics manager. Okay. I hope that answered the question, Sahili and Tushar both. Can I get a yes or no? Oh, if there's a follow-up question, you can always ask.
There is one in chat, but I think I'm a fresher. I want to learn DA. Yes,
One
Kevin.
data analyst, yes. So yes, you can also like again for freshers, as I already mentioned the previous question, which I think somebody asked, right? So you data analytics should be learned, yes, and then you are eligible for to learn. So freshers are also eligible for this course. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, one in the chat section as well.
See, again, recruiter will not ask. See, there are multiple, I think points here, right? So when I say openings are more, so there are 2 points. One, so Great Learning also has a platform called Accelerate platform where you can update your profile and then recruiters hire from that platform as well, right? So that's one way to apply. So if recruiters know that you are getting hired from Accelerate platform, so they know that you technically do not have any experience in the data science. Let's say you're coming from non, data science background. right? And let's say if you're a fresher also, they would know that, yeah, I mean, your profile that you are a fresher. So then the point is that for freshers, recruiter will not ask about the experience certificate or something, because they know that when they, because you will be no, you will not be able to apply any opening for, let's say, 2 years plus 0 to 2, I mean 3 years plus so and so. You will be only applying for the jobs which are 0 to 2 years. Now 0 to 2 years means there are people who do not have experience are also invited. People who have experience are also invited, right? So you fall in that 0 to 2 years or 0 to 3 years of category. That depends upon opening to opening. So if you are a fresher, then technically, and your resume is shortlisted, then technically recruiter knows that you do not have experience, and that is why you're applying for. So then definitely this question should not come from the recruiter. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Okay, Ankit, there is one question in Q&A. I think I can answer that. We do have domain-specific projects. Okay, we do have a lot of case studies and projects that has the current trends and tech in that. So we do have domain-specific projects. So you can just fill the form and put the question in there, so that we will send you the list of projects and case studies that is followed in the program. I think that answers. Uh, Aniket, there is one more question. I think you have to take
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, to answer first of all Fatima's question, right? So, Fatima, see, data science and business analytics are actually a competency. It's a horizontal profile, right? So, which means that irrespective of the domain, you can solve any problem where the data is there. Data is there in healthcare, finance, retail. You can solve all the problems. Yes, I was covering in a slide as well. The great learning, that's a good part of it. The 60 plus case studies that you do, right, in the course, right? There are more than 11 plus projects that you do actually are based on different domains. So at the end of the course, you will be end up doing projects in healthcare industry, retail industry, finance industry, marketing, sales, etc. Right? So we'll have experience of projects across the industry domain. That will help you because, as I said, data science is a competency. So that's a horizontal competency. I mean, today you're working in retail domain, tomorrow you'll be working with a product team of finance, so and so forth. Right? It's applicable across the domains. To answer Tushar's question, right? So my journey, yeah. So I have done BA, Bachelor of Arts, and then I did my masters. So I started like working in a company, Genpact, into ops team. So and that's where my data analytics interest also started that time, because that time we were like doing a very small analysis on Excel, and I was not aware of Excel. Also, I learned Excel during my job itself. Like, I mean, I did practice on Excel while I was giving interview for Genpact, but primarily, like, the major learning came from when I started working in Genpact, and I started learning Excel more. And with Excel, we were analyzing small data, a lot of problems we were solving, but very small data. And then report. It was mostly a reporting operation profile. Then I was using Excel a lot, and there I heard about the data science that time, like data analytics that time. But Python was not there, SAS was there, SQL was there. So I started learning SQL and SAS also. And then and then I started, like, getting more interest into that. Okay, I can learn this. Yes, I can do more, solve more problems. But then I tried changing the profiles. I could not change that, couldn't find the suitable, like, I mean, the roles. I was not getting shortlisted in many profiles. In 2015 I joined Great Learning, and this program was launched that time. And that program actually gave me the breakthrough in data science, in terms of like what exactly to learn, how to, not only the job part, like job though I was able to figure out on my own, but the point was that there was a path that was designed in this course. Like, okay, this is how you should learn data science. There's lesson one, lesson two. There is a trajectory that you have to follow, and then you, after the course, you feel that, okay, this is what you have achieved. Otherwise you go all over the place, right? What to learn, when to learn, how to learn is very important, right? And what to learn can be figured out, but how that thing to be learned, in what structure, is very important. So then, so I joined this course and I was able to make a move after 6 months of the course or so, right? So in data analytics profile, then I moved to data science profile from data analytics profile. Then I moved to Gen AI profile recently in the last couple of years whenever Gen AI came. So that's my journey in a very nutshell, again, high level. Okay. One more question. My experience in PL SQL developer for 8 years. Will this upskilling the current PL experience help me? Depends. Data, there are profiles, as I said, where AI engineers or data engineers are also required who are using Gen AI. Start applying for that. It's good that you already have, like, the PL SQL knowledge, which means that in future, you might be working closely with the database, data science engineering side and Gen AI engineering as well. So maybe you will get a good learning in terms of, like, of closely working with the AI engineering team and ML engineering team, and you can make a move there. But your experience will be helpful, yes. Exactly, will you get a role of 8 plus years? That I'm not sure. That again depends on company's requirement. But overall, any programming language, will that programming language help you? Yes, in future, wherever you apply. Okay, any last questions do we have? Like one or two questions before we wrap up? Because any question?
Yes, I think one more question is there in,
Q&A?
yeah, just now.
See, marketing, the salary expectation depends. See, if you're a fresher, then salary ranges from 4 to 6 lakhs. If you're an experienced professional, that depends upon years of experience and current salary, you should expect a hike, right? If you have a knowledge of Power BI, SQL, Excel, there is no basic Python as such. You need to have a good knowledge of Python. That's very important. So forget about the basic Python. Nobody looks for basic Python skills, right? So we need to be good in Python. There is no negotiation on that, first of all. But the point is that, to answer your question, so for fresher it is 4 to 6 lakhs, but for experienced professional that depends upon your current salary. And should you expect a hike? The answer is yes. Whenever you make a move with the skills that you are talking about, Tushar. Yeah, I hope that answers the question, Tushar.
Yes, Aniket, I think that is all about the questions. I see no more questions asked. Ah,
Okay.
okay, okay. Yes, Aniket, I think we can wrap up. I think there are no more questions.
Okay, awesome. Thank
Okay,
you. Yes.
thank
Hope
you
all
for
the
joining,
questions
Aniket.
are answered. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yes,
All the best. Yeah.
okay. So, guys, you can fill this form. So anything regarding to the upcoming webinars or anything regarding to other courses you may be interested in Gen AI, ML, or data science courses as well, you can just fill this form and give the queries in the suggestions, and our team will get back with all the answers. Maybe you have doubts related to the projects, maybe you have doubts related to the case studies or the curriculum or any structure that you have doubts in. You can just fill the forms and we will get back with all the answers that you need. So I will just wait for 2 more minutes so that you guys can fill this form and then we can wrap up this session. I hope the forms are visible. So we'll wait till 7:02 and then we can wrap up the session. If the forms are not visible, please let me know. You can add it in the comment section. I can send it to you personally also. Or any other questions regarding DS program as well as the GL structure, you can ask me. Okay, guys. I think there is no more questions. So you can copy this form link and then you can fill it. Okay, so any doubts regarding to the programs or any doubts regarding to your requirements, you can just put it. So we have a lot of other programs as well. If data science is not what you're looking for, we have a lot of other programs, technical programs that covers the recent technologies like Gen AI, ML, and everything, right? And we also have some IIT Bombay's computer science courses as well. So you can just fill the forms and we will reach out to you for all your answers. Okay. So I think that's it. I think we can wrap up. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for joining. See you. Have a nice day. Bye.